Part 1, The Birthday Gift. The morning of my 63rd birthday broke clear and cold, the kind of autumn day that smells of wood smoke and fallen apples. I woke in the narrow storage closet room that had been mine for 8 years, the one with the single window facing the alley dumpster. My son Darren and his wife Tiffany had long since claimed the master suite, the guest room, even the sun porch. I rose at 5:30 as always, so I could start the grits and brew 2 teas, one strong and black for Darren, one floral and expensive for Tiffany, before their alarm clock shrieked. I was slipping the cast iron skillet onto the burner when Tiffany appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a silk robe the color of ripe peaches. "Happy birthday, Mommy," she sang, hugging me from behind. Her perfume was new, sharp, and costly. "Darren and I have the most perfect gift. You're going to gasp." Darren shuffled in, checking his watch. "Get dressed, Mama, we leave in 30. I put on my best dress, gingham, faded but clean, and packed nothing. Birthdays had taught me not to expect luggage space for hope. The drive took us out of the city, past suburbs, past billboards, into land that flattened and forgot itself. Corn stubble gave way to pine scrub. The radio lost signal. Darren's knuckles were white on the wheel. "Tiffany stayed home with a migraine," she said. Just the two of us, like old times. We turned onto a rutted track that hadn't seen gravel since Nixon. The car bottomed out twice. At the end stood a shed. Not a cottage, not a cabin, a shed. Tar paper sides, tin roof patched with license plates. One window boarded with plywood. Weeds grew through the floorboards of what might once have been a porch. Darren killed the engine. "Here we are." I waited for the punchline. None came. He hauled a single duffel from the trunk, my own, the canvas one I'd used for church retreats 20 years ago. Inside, 2 changes of underwear, a nightgown, a bar of soap, my flip phone. "This is your gift," he said, setting the bag in the dust. "Your own place. Fresh air. Tiffany and I, we need room. The baby's coming." He tossed the last line like a bone to a dog. The car door slammed, dust rose. The silver sedan shrank, turned, vanished. I stood in the road until the engine's echo died. Then I heard myself breathing. Meeting Ruth and taking stock. Footsteps on the gravel outside. I froze, hand on the useless stove handle. A woman appeared in the doorway. 70 if she was a day. Tall, straight-backed, silver hair braided tight. She wore overalls and carried a galvanized bucket. "Thought I heard a car," she said. "Name's Ruth Caldwell. I'm 2 lots over, what's left of the town." Her eyes flicked to the duffel, to my face, to the boarded window. "You the birthday girl?" I managed a nod. Ruth set the bucket down. Inside, a thermos, a loaf of bread still warm, a jar of blackberry jam. "Coffee's strong. Bread's sourdough. Jam's from my canes. You eat first, then we talk." She didn't ask how. I'd come to be abandoned with a soap bar and a duffel. She simply filled a tin cup, tore the bread, spread jam thick as royalty. We sat on the porch step because there was no chair. The coffee scalded my tongue and woke something fierce inside my chest. "Darren's my son," I said. The words tasted foreign. "He thought this would be simpler." Ruth snorted. "Simpler for who?" She studied the shed. "Place has good bones. Roof's mostly sound. Well's 50 yards back, chained stiff but works. Outhouse is clean. I scrubbed it last spring when the county threatened to condemn the whole row." I swallowed. "I don't have a dime. My pension went into their account years ago." Ruth's eyes narrowed, not unkindly. "We'll see about that." She stood. "Come sundown, bring your phone. Hill behind my place gets 2 bars. We'll make calls." She left me the rest of the bread and walked off, braid swinging like a pendulum. I spent the day inventorying my kingdom. The stove's flue was clogged with a squirrel's winter stash. Acorns, pine cones, one child's mitten. I cleared it with a stick, coughing soot. The cot springs sang when I sat. I found a cracked mirror propped behind the door and saw myself. Gray roots, gingham dress. Eyes older than 63. At dusk, I followed a deer path through sumac to Ruth's hill. She waited beside a cedar stump, phone in one hand, flashlight in the other. "Signal's fickle," she said. "But it's enough." I powered on the flip phone. 2 bars blinked. I scrolled to Mr. Harrison, bank manager, Paul's old golf buddy. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Evelyn, Lord girl, where are you?" "Long story." I need 3 things starting now. My voice didn't shake. I told him, block Darren's access, redirect my pension, blind him to balances. Harrison whistled low. Done in 30 minutes. You sure? Never sure. Next call, Marcus Jones, attorney. Young, sharp, owed me for the Birmingham apartment sale. I explained the condo, Paul's deed in my name only, and the mortgage. I'd never signed. Send me nothing, I said. Start pulling records. I'm temporarily displaced. Marcus promised motion by morning. Ruth listened without comment. When I hung up, she handed me a folded paper. My nephew's a contractor. Fair prices. He owes me for keeping his ex-wife's goats last divorce. You want this shed livable? We start tomorrow. I stared at the paper. I can't pay yet. You will, she said. Or you won't. Either way, walls don't wait. Night fell hard. I lay on the cot, quilt over me, listening to mice rehearse in the walls. Sleep came in snatches. I dreamed of Paul standing in our old kitchen, holding the deed, saying, yours. Evie, always yours. Dawn brought Ruth in a pickup truck. Her nephew, Levi, unfolded like a carpenter's rule, 6'4", quiet. Hands that had measured more sorrow than lumber. He walked the shed, tapping walls, sniffing air. Foundation stone laid 1932. Roof needs sistering. Wells sweet, tested it last year. Give me 10 days, I'll make her sing. 10 days, I had bread, jam, coffee, and a war chest no one knew about. Levy's crew arrived at 8. 2 men, 1 woman, all cousins. They tore shingles like old scabs. Ruth brought biscuits and sausage gravy. I hauled scrap to the burn pile. Muscles remembering labor I'd forgotten I owned. Evenings, Ruth and I climbed the hill. Marcus reported condo title clean. Mortgage flagged for fraud. Darren's cards declined at 3 gas stations. On day 4, Levi pried the fresh plywood from the back wall. Behind it, a door, padlocked. The key hung on a nail inside the stovepipe, black with soot. Levi wiped it clean, turned the lock. The door opened into a second room, 8 by 10, window intact, floor swept bare. On the far wall, shelves. On the shelves, ledgers, yellowed but legible. Levy lifted one. Property abstracts, he said. Whole township. Look, he tapped a page. Lot 17, this one, deeded 1947 to one Evelyn Marie Reed. Care of Paul Reed, trustee. My maiden name. My mother's handwriting in the margin. For our girl when she's ready. I sat on the dusty floor, ledger in my lap. Paul had never mentioned land. Mother had died when I was 12. I'd assumed the family farm sold for taxes. Ruth read over my shoulder. Looks like your mama bought the whole dying town for back taxes. 10 lots, this shed, the well, mineral rights. She whistled. Girl, you're sitting on a gold mine of paperwork. Levy found more, survey maps. A 1950s oil lease canceled for non-production. A hand-drawn addendum initialed. PR noting, test well dry but structure sound. Future value in water table. That night I called Marcus again. Pull everything on mineral rights, water rights. Anything tied to my mother's name. Marcus laughed, delighted. Mrs. Reed, you just handed me a loaded gun. Day 6, Darren called. I let it ring 4 times. Mama, what the hell? Tiffany's card bounced at Whole Foods. People stared. I said nothing. Are you there? Fix it. Call the bank. No. A pause. Tiffany's voice in the background shrill. Tell her we'll put her in a home. I hung up. To the confrontation. Day 8, the roof was new tin gleaming like a promise. Levi installed a window in the hidden room. Daylight flooding the ledgers. Ruth brought shelves, pine planks sanded smooth. I arranged the abstracts like soldiers. Day 9, Marcus called at dawn. Bank froze the mortgage. Darren's screaming fraud. I filed counterclaim. Forgery, elder abuse, undue influence. Oh, and the county recorder found your mother's trust. 10 lots, 640 acres, water rights to the aquifer feeding 3 counties. Current valuation. He named a figure that made my knees buckle. Ruth steadied me. Breathe, Evelyn. Day 10, the shed became a house. Levy hung a door hand-carved with morning glories. Ruth whitewashed walls. I painted the porch floor sky blue. We moved Paul's armchair, retrieved from the condo by Marcus, into the hidden room beside a new wood stove. That afternoon, engines roared. 3 cars, dust clouds. Darren, Tiffany, cousins twice removed. Aunt Carol clutching a casserole like a shield. They formed a semicircle. Darren held papers. Mama, this is an intervention. You're not competent. We're taking you to a doctor. Tiffany, makeup flawless, belly artfully rounded. For the baby's sake. I stood on my blue porch, coffee in hand. Ruth leaned against the newel post, arms crossed. Levi and crew paused hammers mid-swing. Aunt Carol stepped forward. "Evie, honey, come home." I set the cup down. "This is home." Darren waved documents. "Guardianship papers. Sign or we call the sheriff." Ruth spoke soft but carrying. "Sheriff's my nephew."
"He's fishing today."
Levi stepped off the ladder, ledger in hand. "Before anyone signs anything, read this." He handed Darren the 1947 deed. "Evelyn Reed, sole owner. Lots 14 through 23 inclusive. Includes this structure, the well. And," he flipped pages, "subsurface rights to the Cypress Aquifer. Appraised last week at 12 million. Darren's face went the color of skim milk. Tiffany snatched the ledger, scanned, shrieked. "This is fake!" Marcus's voice boomed from my flip phone on speaker. "Certified copies filed at County Courthouse 9:17 a.m. Also, Mr. Reed, your mortgage fraud case proceeds to grand jury Tuesday. I suggest you leave Mrs. Reed's property before trespass charges join the pile." Aunt Carol's casserole slipped, shattered. Darren backed toward his car. Tiffany followed, clutching her belly like a prop. Engines coughed, reversed, fled. Silence returned, sweeter than birdsong. Part 5, a new beginning. Spring came early. I sold water rights to the county, enough to fund a community well for the ghost town's 3 remaining residents. Levi built Ruth a greenhouse. I planted tomatoes in tires painted white. Darren and Tiffany lost the condo to foreclosure. The bank seized it to offset the fraudulent loan. They moved to a 1-bedroom above a vape shop. I sent no birthday card. At 65, I sit on my blue porch. The hidden room is now a library. Ledgers shelved beside Paul's armchair. Morning glories climbing the new trellis. Vines heavy with tomatoes flank the path to the well. Ruth's goat kid naps in the shade. I am wealthy in ways no one can steal. Clean water, honest work, a roof that doesn't leak, a friend who brings sourdough on Sundays. Sometimes tourists drive through. Hunting authentic rural experience. I sell them jam for $10 a jar and send them on their way. Dignity, I learned, is not a gift. It is a garden. You clear the weeds, amend the soil, plant in rows straight as truth. Some seasons the frost comes early. You cover the tender shoots with whatever you have, burlap, old quilts, sheer stubborn will, and you wait. The peonies I coaxed from the ruin now bloom crimson against whitewashed walls. Their scent drifts through open windows at dusk. I breathe it in. Deep as forgiveness I no longer need to give. This is my empire, one blue porch, one honest well, one heart finally, fiercely free.